Hello and welcome to the Beatport podcast. I'm your host Tigerlight, and our guest for today is Spencer Parker. This Berlin-based Brit is a seasoned DJ, producer and A&R for his label Work Them Records. Parker is an artist that knows his own mind and isn't afraid to stick to his vision, whether that be in the studio, as a label head or on the decks. We sat down for a chat in the Beatport's Berlin headquarters and talked about his record store background, his new album Dance Music, his travelling, sampling, tour adrenaline and more. So buckle up and enjoy the ride. Beatport podcast. So you're a Londoner, born and bred?
Yeah, Croydon, so like South London.
Wow, okay.
So the infamous streets of Croydon.
Do you miss it?
Not really.
Because you're based here now, right?
I'm based here, yeah. I've been here for like 9 years. So I lived in like Archway. I lived a couple of different places in London, but I've been here for 9 years now, so
wow.
Don't miss it too much.
Do you speak German?
No, not very well. I tried my best, but it's a little bit tricky in Berlin. I've got friends that moved from London to Paris, and she was like fluent speaking French within like 6 months.
Wow. Because
Parisians just won't have it. Whereas in Berlin, I mean, that's always everyone's first question. Like, how long you been in Berlin? I'm like, here it comes. 9 years. Okay, how's your German? That's okay. But it's, I mean, in Berlin, I think, I did quite a few lessons and I went into it quite deep because I quite like languages. It was always my favourite subject at school. And my uncle lives in Paris. My French is not too bad. So I really kind of leapt into it. But unless you're doing it every day, it's pretty tricky. And in Berlin, Berliners are quite happy to speak English to you, whether it's in a restaurant or a shop or anything like that. If I'm like, haben Sie das Spice Card? As soon as I'm like, oh, you're English? Oh, yeah, just what you need.
Yeah.
So they immediately start speaking to you in English. So you never really get that sort of the chance to do it. But yeah, I was very, very determined not to be that person that lives somewhere for like 3, 4, 5 years and still doesn't speak the language. And I really went into it like loads of different lessons. And I can kind of get around stuff. If I need to get something done, I can do it. But to my eternal shame, it's not fluent.
Are you a citizen, German citizen now?
I'm still got like my 2 UK passports. So.
2 UK passports?
Yeah, because my friend was in a band about 10. I've been travelling for like quite a long time, way before I made a record and way before like travelling internationally for like a long time. And my friend was in a band and they were always touring. And he told me you can get 2 passports. You can legitimately have 2 passports so that if you need to have a Russian, I mean, I've been to Russia like 13 times now, I think. And obviously toured America and various different places. And a lot of the time you'll need a visa. Obviously you can't travel without your passport and they have to keep the passport, whether it's for 24 hours or 48 hours. But he was traveling all the time to America because his band was quite big there. And he tipped me off about this thing where you can have 2 different passports. So I've got 2, like one's about 3 or 4 years behind the other one. So if I need a visa, one goes off to get the visa and the other one gets I can travel with.
That's so clever.
I know. I mean, it's something that you would never know unless someone told you. And he tipped me off about it like 15 years ago or something like that. So I've always made sure I have 2 passports on the go.
So with the whole Brexit mess that we're in, that I'm also in, as living in Berlin, are you going to apply for dual citizenship?
I don't know. I mean, I love living here. I'm completely happy living here. I don't know. The whole Brexit thing's such a disaster. I'm trying not to panic about it. In the back of my mind, I'm still holding on to a dim hope that it just won't happen because it's just so ludicrous. So that's my official stance on it. Sticking my head in the sand, hoping it doesn't happen.
Do you think it's going to affect dance music?
It has the potential to affect everything because, importing into the UK, exporting out of the UK, all your taxes, I mean, all the European countries just must be laughing about it. Just be like, you guys are insane, absolutely insane. Because I mean, I guess it could get to the level where if each country in Europe said, right, okay, well, from now on to work here, you need a visa and you need to apply for the visa. I can be in 3 different countries in a weekend, or 4 or 5 if I have to change flights somewhere. So if each of those countries, which they'd be well within their rights to do, to go, okay, you don't want to be in Europe, okay, well, from now on, everyone that works here that's a British person has to apply for a visa, and the visa's this many £100 and it takes 6 weeks. Potentially it could affect absolutely everything.
What's good is that the Germans seem to be wanting to keep us here, so they're offering this dual citizenship.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I've seen some stuff about that. I mean, I guess there's so many different nationalities living in Berlin. I mean, I've got German friends, I've got friends from all over the world that live here. So I guess they want to keep those people here, you know, why not?
Moving on from Brexit, back to dance music, which is the beautiful togetherness and escapism that we all need from this kind of thing.
Exactly.
Let's go back to when you were working in a record store.
Yeah, I used to work in a record store in Soho.
Okay.
So yeah.
How long were you doing that?
I don't know. I was doing it for like 3 or 4 years or something like that. But it was good training. Like I was like kind of one of the buyers. We'd buy different imports and stuff like that. And obviously working behind a counter for like 8 hours a day, you get to hear so many records. So, you know, just constantly listening to music every day, constantly, even if you don't particularly buy something for the shop, you'll listen to everything that every distributor has. So I might be like, okay, maybe we can't sell that in the shop, but I really like it, so I'll take 1 copy, or I'll buy some for the shop and then I'll keep 1 copy for me. So yeah, it's a good practice ground, good musical education. And you get to meet a lot of people from, you know, DJs or promoters that would come in from all over the world, because this was like a little bit, we'd do mail order to customers all over the world, and then people would come in, and there wasn't really kind of like the digital market hadn't emerged yet. So if you wanted the best record, you'd have to go to the record stores in like London or maybe New York or somewhere like that. So yeah, it's good. Got to meet a lot of people, standing behind the counter, giving out my mixtapes to people, and that's how I got a lot of my first gigs in all over the world, through giving tapes to people.
You actually went abroad from doing that?
Yeah, for sure. I had a couple of residencies in England. There was one called the Velvet Underground, and I was resident on a Saturday with another guy, and Wednesday was Fabio was the resident. Thursday was Carl Cox. He had a night called Ultimate Bass, and this place held like 200 people. And then Friday, I think the resident was Pete Tong. And it's a tiny, tiny club, but that's how it was in that time. It was resident at another club called The Cross, which was like a mixed gay night. And people would hear me there and then get in contact and ask me to go and play in their country, or if they were buying records and they were like resident stroke booker of a certain club, oh, here's my tape, check it out. And then they'd get in contact. So yeah, I mean, it's pretty crazy to have been traveling and doing all that for like such a long time before I even thought of releasing a record or anything like that. So
listening to Absolutely Raving by Spencer Parker, forthcoming on his new album Dance Music. What about your first DJ gig?
My first ever DJ gig.
First ever DJ gig, what was that like?
My first ever DJ gig was for a friend of mine whose 18th birthday it was. And I'd been going out clubbing, just collecting records, because I'd go to like a club in London and be like, oh, that was my favourite record of the night. I'd try and find out the name and buy it, just as kind of like as a souvenir, as like a memory of that night. I had no intention really to be a DJ. I just thought, oh, I like that record. I want to hear it whenever I want. And, you know, there was no Spotify or anything like that. Or, you know, maybe you'd catch it on a pirate radio station and record it on a tape. But I was like, no, I want to get the record. And then eventually, through going out so much, I had a lot of souvenirs, a lot of records that I liked. And, you know, it's like a little bit of drum and bass and a lot of like house and stuff like that. And she said, I'm going to have a party. I was like, okay. I said, well, I could do the music if you want. And she's like, yeah. Okay, so then I do the gig. I didn't have decks. I knew that the faders went up and down, like one went down as the other one went up. I had no comprehension that they had to be in time. So, I did this party, and there was loads of other DJs that wanted to play, and one of their girlfriends was walking behind the decks as I was playing and stamping on the stage to make my needles jump to try and get her boyfriend on the decks. And they were saying to me, you can't, you know, I mean, I wasn't mixing, I was literally just fading one into the other. So, you know, like a 2-second blend. So even if it was massively out of time, it's 2 seconds, doesn't really matter. And, but everyone was dancing. The whole place was dancing. All the records I had were great records. So it doesn't really matter, you know, everyone was dancing. And they were like, no, you can't mix, get off. And I was like, well, look, everyone's dancing. They asked me to do it, didn't ask you to do it, so there you go. So that was my first, and then I had to stop the music because the stripper arrived. They got her a stripper, so the music had to stop for a second. That was my first ever gig. So I didn't really know what I was doing, but you know, the moral of the story, I had good records.
So you had one deck at home? Obviously.
No.
So how?
My mum had a MIDI system, which was like 2 tape machines, then a radio, and then a deck on top. So I had that, so I could listen to the record. But I didn't have any decks. But I was like, yeah, I can do it. The arrogance of ignorance. I was like, yeah, it's fine, I'll do it.
And then did you go and buy another deck, or how did you progress? Yeah,
eventually I was working for Direct Line Insurance as like a telesales operator. What type of car do you want to insure, blah, 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 blah. So, and as I was doing that, I'd have a copy of DJ Mag, and in the back of DJ Mag, they had all the adverts for decks and stuff like that. So I'd like look at all the decks, like, okay, I want to get 2 Technics, you know, cam mixer and stuff like that. So yeah, I just worked there, saved up my money, got 2 decks, then started practicing, trying to learn how the hell to do it. And then, just progressed from there, really.
Beatport Podcast. You'd been releasing for 6 years before you released your first solo album, A Gun for Hire, in 2011. It took a year to make that record. Why did that process take so long?
I don't really like rushing those things. The same with this album, the new one. I just kind of, you know, I make records constantly anyway, because I enjoy doing it. And then sometimes I'll get like 4 or 5 together and think, right, how do I want to release them? And I was like, okay, I've already done 4 or 5. Kind of, if I do another 5, I could do an album or something like that. Or I kind of have a vague idea of what I want an album to be. And then I try not to overthink it, really. I just make track. I mean, when I make with The Gun for Hire, the whole album was structured a bit like a DJ set. So the first couple of records on there are what you'd play in a warm-up. And then it gets a bit more houseier. Then it gets maybe a little bit more techno-y. And then the last record on there is a record I did with Dan Beaumont called The Look, which is a disco-y sample record, which is kind of like at the end of the night, you play one more record, and that was like the end of the night record. And the new album's a little bit similar to that as well. I'm only really interested in making records that I want to play. I've got, in the DJ set, I've got no real aspirations to make a trip-hop single or anything like that. I like making records that I play, and that's why the label's called Work Them Records, for people to work to on the dance floor and DJs to work in their DJ sets. And that's what's quite funny, is like sometimes if I see a review of something, you know, sometimes the reviews quite often say, well, it's just like a DJ tool. And I'm like, That's exactly what the whole label's about. That's a whole label of DJ tools. That's all we want to release is records for DJs to play and people to dance to on the dance floor.
So your new album is called Dance Music, and it's out on October 12th on your own imprint.
Yes.
I was wondering about the Foley that's on there. There's was that the third track on the album?
With
Huntington Hills.
Huntington Hills. Oh yeah.
So what's the story behind that?
That's Huntington Park Hills. It's actually, I was in Los Angeles, and I was dating a girl from Los Angeles, and she's from a place called Huntington Park. So I kind of had this mad love affair that went on for a couple of years, long distance relationship, but I was visiting LA a lot, so that's just, I wanted to do some interludes in the album to kind of show a little bit of my life and what it's like, and you know, the constant kind of traveling. As I said, I was traveling to Los Angeles quite a lot, but also like lucky enough to travel all over the world anyway, and just to, you know, just that's the sound of her heels walking down the street. And as we were walking down the street, a guy on a skateboard drove past us with a boombox playing the music, playing like a country record, which is what you kind of hear moving past us.
I'm really glad that you know her, because when I listen to it and it says, you go, I'm recording your heels, do you want to say something? And I'm like, for a second, I'm really glad that that's how the story was.
Yeah, well, you can I'm not going up to random women recording their heels, I promise. We were just walking down the street, and you can hear her, you know, you can kind of get, I say, do you want to say something? You can kind of hear her go, Yeah, I just thought it was really sweet, and it's definitely a snapshot of my life at that time, so I thought it was something quite nice to put on there. Recording the sound of your heels. Want to say something?
album interlude Huntington Park Heels, followed by The Power from Spencer Parker's new album. So your label, Work Them Records, as part of your work in the A&R, how much time do you spend listening to unsolicited demos?
Quite a few. I mean, I've actually got a little bit of a backlog, but I pretty much listen and reply to everyone. So,
wow.
Yeah, I've got quite a lot of backlog, so if anyone's listening that has sent me something, I apologise. But yeah, I take time to sit down and reply, even if it's just thanks, but it's not for us. But yeah, I mean, I think we released a record by a physical therapy, Daniel, who lives in New York. That was from a demo. I got sent a record by this artist, which I listened to on Thursday. Asked her to send me the WAV. She sent me the WAV. I played it in Panorama Bar on Sunday. Sounded great. So I'm going to try and sign that. So yeah, it does happen. The whole thing with the label is, I think a lot of labels have this sort of crew mentality or gang, like this is our gang and this is our label and blah, blah, blah. And I think I've had it in the past. I mean, I send demos to labels. I have in the past and I continue to do so. And even if it's a no, it's like, okay, thanks for letting me know. Now I know where I am. I can ask someone else if they want it. I think if someone's nice enough to send you their works, it doesn't take like 30 seconds to go, thank you, it's not really our thing, but, I appreciate it. So I've been on the receiving end of that, and I know what it's like when someone says thank you. I'm just like, okay, cool, nice, thanks for letting me know. But the whole idea of the label is that it's an inclusive label as opposed to an exclusive label. I've sent tracks to labels before and they go, we're only really signing stuff from our friends, people that we know. I'm like, okay, so what? So what am I going to do? Unless I know the person, I'm not going to sign a record. So if I get a phenomenal record by someone I've never met, I'm not going to sign it. And I kind of see the idea behind it because it's a lot of time and money and support to do that and to release a record by someone. But for me, I want it to be inclusive. I want to be open to everyone. I mean, we've just released an album by Valia Khan, who's from Russia, who's just relocated to Berlin, who I haven't actually met yet. But she sent me the demo. Demo is amazing. Released the record. I'm happy to have her on the label. I think it should be totally inclusive. It's open to everyone. I've released records by people from Tokyo that I've never met. I've released records by Radio Slave, who's one of my best friends who lives on the same street. So that and everything in between. And then I've released records by, people that have grown to become friends and stuff like that. So yeah, I think the music world can be a little bit snobby sometimes and a little bit like, this is our crew, this is our gang. It's like, I don't know. I kind of have everyone can do whatever they want, but I've always had a problem with that. I've never been cool. I don't think I ever will be. So if it's about our crew and our gang, so I'm not in that gang. I don't like that. It's all supposed to be inclusive. So that's what I like to do with a label. And what about if someone's listening and they're thinking, I want to send a demo in? Do you have any advice for them? Make it fucking good. No, not really. I mean, that's I get sent a lot of demos and like 90% I say no to, obviously. I get sent a lot of records by friends that I'm close to or people that have already released with us. But there's no real rhyme or reason. It's a lot. I often say when I'm replying to someone's email, it's not for us this time, but it's great. It's just not particularly for us. And sometimes they ask the same question that you ask, like, what is it that you want? And I've got absolutely no fucking idea myself. So it's quite hard to explain. It's like, why do you like that record? It's just good. I just like it. The things that I normally look for in general are something that I would play in a DJ set. And there's some things, like with Valia Khan's album, it's a little bit deeper. So it might be something that I'd play a lot of those tracks if I was playing earlier in the night, but it's still something that I would play. I mean, her album I think is phenomenal just as a listening album. I listen to it a lot when I travel. It's really well made. It's got a really great vibe to the whole album from top to bottom. So, that project was a little bit different. But yeah, most of the time, like the demo I got sent the other week that I played, I was like, listen to it. I was like, right, that's a great record. I'm going to play that in Panorama Bar. So do you want the records that come to you to be ready to play? Yeah, I mean, sometimes I have sometimes I'll have some A&R input, which obviously that person's can take or leave. That's up to them. But there's been a few times when I had a remix done for me by quite a big name DJ, who sent me the record, his remix of me, and I was like, right, okay, this is the actual mix is really amazing, but there's a lot of things that I think are taken away from it as opposed to adding it. Maybe you could try, the structure's a little bit strange, maybe we could try this, maybe we could try that. And I actually rearranged the track in Ableton as I wanted it and sent it back to him. And he's a friend of mine, but at the time I didn't know him that well, and he's quite a big name, and I was like, I hope he doesn't take this the wrong way, like, who the fuck are you telling me what to do? But luckily I'm quite good at wording what I wanted in a good way, and he understood. He was like, oh, thanks so much for the input. I'm working on my album at the moment, my head's crazy, and the one thing I have trouble with is structuring, so thanks so much for your help. You're completely right, I'll do it, I'll send it back tomorrow. I was like, okay, I got away with it.
Wow.
He understood, he took it in exactly the way I meant it. Yeah, I do A&R it to a certain extent. Yeah, a lot of the time people take that on board, and a lot of the time it's very minor things, like, like sometimes it might end without any drums or something, and I might feel like it might be a good idea to put 30 seconds or a minute of drums on the end, because that's going to make it, or at the beginning also, because that's going to make it more it'll appeal more to DJs for mixing and blah. So just little things like that. But most of the time I either like it or I don't. I don't really A&R it that hard. And also I don't really want to remake someone's record. They've sent it to me because they like it as that. I don't want to start saying add a trumpet or some craziness. If they wanted to do that, they would have done it, So I'm quite hands-on in that respect, but a lot of the time the record's like 99% there. I might just have one or two things to suggest, and they can take that or leave it,
Out on Work Them Records is Girl by Spencer Parker. You've got a long relationship with Radio Slave, like you said, with the Re-Kids imprint and Crosstown Rebels. Then why did you think, I want to start my own imprint?
I don't know. There was two things that I never really wanted to do. Number one was I never really wanted to produce. And number two was I never really wanted a record label.
Okay.
Because I think I'm known primarily as a DJ. I love DJing. I've been DJing for a long time. I think I'm not that bad at it. And I never wanted to produce because I was like, I was lucky enough to play all over the world, to tour different countries and get invited. And it was always just off the back of a mixtape or someone hearing me play in London. And most of the time if I played, I'd get invited back. So, and it would just seem like the most obvious thing to do. Every DJ started producing. And then slowly, I always wanted to do my own edits, so I'd have something exclusive to play. So I started off slowly doing my own edits, then making records, and then getting the first record I ever made was signed. I was like, right, oh, okay, maybe it's not that bad. And it was always very important to me for someone else to sign my records. I never wanted to do that kind of, I always found it like a little bit suspect when people were like, okay, I've made this record, I'm gonna put it out myself. And I was like, okay, that's fine, but there's no quality control there. If you make the record and put it out yourself, okay. I was always, in the beginning, very interested, and only interested, that someone else signed my record, because that gave it a certain amount of validation. If they think it's good enough to put money behind it and to press it on vinyl and put it out, then that's a good sign. But then after a while, you kind of, you want to have, it's all about like control and being able to put out a record when you want to put it out and stuff like that. And Spencer Broughton, who owns Prime Distribution, who's our distributor from the beginning, was saying to me, you should do your own label, I was like, I don't know. But he finally convinced me, and he's been a big part of the success of the label, helping me out with a lot of different things and giving me advice and supporting us. So yeah, so then we started the label. And just kept, and the more I've got into it, the more I've enjoyed it, like the A&Ring and to support other people and stuff like that. It's nice to see artists like Anetha, for example, who's just becoming more and more popular. And then we've got people like Radio Slave doing stuff for us, or Ryan Elliott, or I don't think Rod has really done that many remixes, but he did one for us quite a long time ago. And it's nice to be able to support people like that,
So I'm interested about what you were saying about having that confirmation from other people, from the labels, and also the other set of ears. So when you're working on this record, or when you work on your own records for release, who are your trusted ears that you send stuff to? Or do you not?
know. I don't really. Well, because most of it's it's all to be played in a club. So I'll give it, I might give a copy to like Ian Pooley, I might give a copy to Ryan Elliott, Radio Slave, my friend Dan Beaumont from London. So yeah, I've got a few little friends here and there that I send stuff to. So yeah, it's all to be played in the club. So they'll give me some feedback, like, I played it, went down really well, and stuff like that. But to be honest, I kind of put my blinkers on a little bit and just get on with it and get it finished, because at the end of the day, it's my name on it. Like the album's 22 tracks. Like a few of those are interludes, but it's pretty much, 22 tracks. So it's my name on it, and I have to be happy with it. And I'm really quite self-critical, so I have to be happy with it at the end of the day. So I just put my blinkers on, I make it, and I work pretty hard on it. So by the end process, by the time it's done, 22 records, I'm like, okay, if someone else likes it, that's a nice bonus. And the reactions thus far have been really good, so I'm super happy about that. But yeah, I have to be happy with it. It has to be a body of work that I'm happy with and happy to release. So I don't tend to get too upset about reviews and stuff like that. I'd like reviews because hopefully it makes it reach a wider audience and people will check it out. Obviously I want people to listen to it, but I'm quite ruthless in the fact that I've done it, I'm happy with it. If you like that, that's really cool, I really appreciate it. If you don't, that's fine too. because I'm not going to change it. I'm not going to do anything different. I'm not going to do something different to try to appeal to anyone else. So if I'm happy with it, it's done. I put it out. Hopefully some people like it.
So you talked about your passion for travel and, you know, looked at your Instagram, photography and film, and you wanted to bring that into the album. How did you feel like you realised that on record, in the record?
Well, maybe, I mean, I guess maybe it's just everything informs, you know, just being so lucky to travel as much as I do. You know, you might hear something here or there that just gives you an idea to do something. And it's like a little bit about my life at that time. You know, I was in a long distance relationship, speaking to someone a lot of the time by phone, and then taking these, you know, crazy trips around the world to meet this person here or there. Traveling to Los Angeles a lot. So yeah, a lot of it's kind of, you know, maybe you don't hear it quite so much in the records because it's just various ideas that have popped into my head as a result of all that travel and stuff like that. But, you know, the interlude's just the kind of, you know, just things that I've recorded in the back of a taxi, you know, coming back from Los Angeles airport, or walking down the street in Los Angeles or something else, or moving here or moving there. I just thought, you know, going to a museum and like a little clip of a museum, a sound installation at a museum. But yeah, more so in the interludes, I guess, and like some stuff from Berlin as well. And just kind of trying to capture that, just that constant moving, just constantly moving, and sometimes not having a second to think, or having too much time to think, traveling on your own, sitting in the back of a taxi, kind of exhausted from maybe not sleeping so much and stuff like that. But I mean, it's nothing to complain about.
Did you write on the road?
A little bit, yeah. A little bit here and there in hotel rooms, and if something pops into your head, just get a vague sketch down. But not that much.
And you have an album tour planned?
Yep, we're kind of in the midst of it now. So, yeah.
Which cities are you hitting next?
This weekend I'm going to Beirut, and then to Pau in Hamburg with Chem from Heron Sauna, Hector Oaks, Vincent Neumann, and P. Leone, who's also on the label. But yeah, did Panorama Bar on Sunday, so that was a lot of fun, which explains my slightly scratchy voice. Apologies for that. But yeah, and then I'm going back to Bogota in Colombia, to Santiago in Chile. I've already done London. Going to Vilnius, I think, and Helsinki, and yeah, loads of various different places. So. And
Paris?
Paris, yes, I've curated a night at Concrete on Halloween. So that's myself, Dan Beaumont, Anthony Naples, Gerd Janssen, and Nari Fisher. And Nari Fisher is a DJ that I played when I played at Le Sucre in Lyon, who's a really great French DJ who some people might not be aware of, but was a really great DJ. So it's nice to get the chance to put her on the bill too. So yeah, I mean, shout out to my agent Maya for making it happen. So she has to take the credit for a lot of that.
And Concrete is like Paris's equivalent of Berghain, really?
I guess so, yeah, it could be compared, yeah.
How could you describe that venue, and why is it so famous?
Well, it's on a boat, which is kind of unusual for a start. So I've known those guys like Breeze and Pete, who run it for like quite a long time, and I've been playing for them pretty much since the beginning. But I think they're definitely responsible, or a big part responsible for like reinvigorating the Parisian club scene, because I know they were fans of coming to Berlin and going to the various different clubs in Berlin, and their programming was a little bit different to all the other French clubs. You know, they've supported a lot of different house and techno acts that weren't getting booked so much in Paris, and they found this unique venue and had made it a venue, a safe space where people could go and have fun with a good crowd, and would book acts that wouldn't normally be seen in Paris. So yeah, just the right idea at the right time, executed well, and yeah, more power to them. They've always supported me since the beginning, and I've played for them since the beginning of the whole thing. So yeah, I'm really happy to get to play there as much as I do. And I've noticed, I play there pretty often, and you get, whenever I play there, you get a lot of people coming back who, oh, I saw you last time, I'm going to come. Oh, I saw you play elsewhere in France. So yeah, I'm extremely grateful to them for the support. We've done Work Them Records parties there as well, with like me and Answer Code Request and Adriana Lopez and stuff like that. So yeah, it's a pretty unique, and as I said, it's on a boat, so it's a pretty unique and crazy venue. But yeah, it's like undoubtedly one of the best clubs in the world, and somewhere I'm always happy to play.
When you play Panorama Bar, do you tailor your sets like for a Berlin crowd?
Not really, not especially. I mean, it's a great venue to play, and I think there's certain records you can play there that will get a really amazing reaction there, and maybe you could play them elsewhere in the world and they won't kind of hit as hard, they won't kind of understand or get it quite as much as that venue. So it's very much unique in that, and also in that sense, and also just simply the nature of it being open 24 hours and being a gay venue and stuff like that. All of that informs how different records work. But I don't really tailor my set so much wherever I play. I'm quite militant about, they've booked me to play, so therefore I'm going to play what I play. I'm such a huge fan of going out and of other DJs. If I was living in Croydon when I was 18 and they booked David Morales, I don't want to see David Morales turn up and try and cater to a Croydon audience. I want to see David Morales bring it and do what the fuck he does. So that's what I try and do when I go somewhere. And I'm a little, not unique, but I'm a little bit different in the sense of I can play house, I can play disco, I can play techno, and often I'll play them all in the same set. So I kind of, people expect that from me, like a little bit of everything.
That's why I was asking, because of that happy party disco / saw Toto Africa on your Instagram. And I
played it on Sunday as my last record.
This is what I was going to ask. Did you play it in Panorama Bar?
Yeah, I did.
Okay. Did everyone sing?
Yes.
Amazing.
Yeah, I think I'm not sure if the blinds went up, but they might have.
This is Alone in a Crowd, also taken from Spencer Parker's new album Dance Music. Your relationship with Radio Slave, like how did that come about?
We've just been friends for a really long time. I was working for a record label and asked him to do a remix for me, and then we just became friends. And then when he first started Records, I did a couple of tracks for him. And yeah, he's just a lovely guy, like phenomenal DJ, phenomenal producer. And when I first moved to Berlin, I left England because I split up with my ex-girlfriend and had to leave my house, and it was kind of like it ended in a pretty brutal way. Not my fault, but yeah, it was a funny situation. So I left the UK, and my head was a little bit messed up, and I was, pretty sad about the end of the relationship. So I wasn't really sure what to do. I was in a bit of a kind of not a nice part of my life. And Radio Slave was like, Matt was just like, look, come to Berlin, stay on my couch, it's gonna be okay. And I was just about making enough money from DJing to support myself. And I was like, okay, yeah, why not? This relationship has ended. I didn't really expect it to end. I was upset, and I was like, I don't know what to do. So yeah, that's, he threw me that lifeline, which I'll never forget. And I stayed with him, eventually found a flat, and then, yeah, ended up staying here. So he's like one of my best friends without doubt. And I was there when I needed him. So shout out to Matt. But that's why I came to Berlin. Like, I often get asked in interviews and stuff, oh, you live in Berlin, and but there was no, let's move to Berlin to be a DJ, or Berlin's the center of the world for house and techno, let's move there. Like, if Matt had lived in Amsterdam, I'd have gone to Amsterdam. If he lived in Newcastle, I'd have gone to Newcastle, So there was never like any career plan to come to Berlin. I just ended up here. And then, it's pretty funny because I'm lucky enough to play Panorama Bar or Berghain, a few times each year. And obviously it's such a legendary club that people ask you about it when you travel and stuff. But the first time I ever went there, I think I moved to Berlin on a Wednesday. The following Friday, I went to Panorama Bar just to check it out and have a look. And the following Friday after that, the next week, I played there for the first time for a records party, which was myself, Gerd Janssen, Matt, and Marcel Detman.
What was it like?
Yeah, crazy. I mean, yeah, quite a baptism of fire.
Were you nervous?
Yeah, completely nervous. I still get nervous.
It's like the church.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I still get nervous now, but I think it's good to be nervous. It shows that you give a shit. I don't ever want to get to the point where I'm like, okay, let's go.
Is that for every gig or just
Berghain? Yeah, I do. Yeah, because I give a shit. I do care. I do want it to be good. I do want everyone to have fun. These people have worked all week, or not worked all week, but a lot of people work all week, and they pay the money to go and dance. I want it to be absolutely out of the world. I don't want it to be average. I don't want it to be okay. I want it to be fucking amazing. And to do that, you have to have your shit together and prepare and make it happen. So that is a fair bit of pressure, which I put on myself, but I want it to be the shit. I don't want it to be okay or average. And obviously that makes you a bit nervous, but, well, maybe not nervous is the right word. To put it another way, is excited. I'm excited to play.
Adrenaline.
Yeah, and I'm ready to play. But yeah, it's good to give a shit. It's good to care.
So those butterflies, those pre-gig butterflies,
yeah.
How long do they last?
Because I'm lucky to play all the time, I'm just always daydreaming. I've got like endless notes on my phone where I'll be sitting on a bus going to the airport saying, okay, that record would go really well with that record. Let me think, I wonder if I could do that. Or maybe I should do an edit of that record. It's just non-stop.
So it's a constant butterfly.
Yeah, we're constantly thinking about it. The butterfly's not so much as it gets closer and closer. But I mean, maybe it's just me, maybe everyone. Maybe it's the same for everyone, and no one admits it. Everyone's too cool.
And when you're not working, then do you have like lifestyle things that you do to put in place, like gym or anything like that, to kind of balance stuff out? Yeah,
I mean, I'm quite regular at the McFit in Kortwasserbrücke. But yeah, I'm reasonably healthy. I go every day, but manage to lose no weight or gain no muscle. It's quite a unique talent.
If anybody wants to catch up with you and they don't have you on the socials, where can they find you?
Just Facebook, I think, is Spencer Parker Music. My Instagram is Spencer Parker Music. And I can't even remember what my Twitter is. I think it's _ Spencer Parker. But hit that Google, you'll find me easily enough.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
track by Samuel L. Session with Una on remix duties. You've been listening to Jewel by Perk and Adam X out on AXNP. Amotic with Ek. brought to you by Shan and Gerd Janssen. That was Surrender, out on Regraded. Closing up the podcast, I wanted to play the track in full that we had as the ambience underneath the interview with Spencer Parker. Out on his new album Dance Music, this track is called Emotional Tendencies. This has been the Beatport podcast with Spencer Parker. I've been your host, Tigerlight. Thanks for listening. Beatport podcast.